Welcome everyone to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. This is going to be our first proper Let's Play foray into 3DS. Sadly, the Pizza Joe line must call it quits. But it's okay, we've already got a hero waiting in the wings.
It's not part of the same storyline. It's a different character now.
He's not Pizza Joe Classic, like I said in Wind Waker.
He is Groose. Didn't you know?
Groose is a classic into himself.
You know, here's a depressing confession. I never played Ocarina of Time.
Really?
Yeah, because I guess when I got the Nintendo 64, I got it late. Like, I was one of those guys that had the Super Nintendo when people had Nintendo 64, and had 64 when people had the Wii, and I was always behind. So by the time I got it, the one that was coming out for it was Majora's Mask. So that was the first one I ever played, and that game frustrated me because I didn't know how to do it because it was too complicated at the time. So I never got around to playing Ocarina of Time.
Well, funnily enough, on SA right now, there's actually someone doing a blind Let's Play of Ocarina of Time, so... But, like, this game is so ubiquitous, I'm still surprised to see when people haven't played it yet.
Well, I've seen enough footage of it that I pretty much know what the hell's going on, so...
This actually isn't my first Zelda, it's actually my second or third. The first one I played was Link's Awakening.
Oh, yeah. This one was my first, but even I will say bits of it don't hold up very well. That's kind of why we're doing the 3DS version, because, even though, like, graphically it's kind of an upgrade and a downgrade, it is a portable system, so, like, the bitrate isn't as great as it could be, but some things were redesigned, the controls were tightened a bit, especially first-person aiming. You're going to see how that works out with the 3DS and its gyroscope. But I get the sense that Ocarina of Time 3D is really the version of Ocarina of Time that should have been made from the start. It's kind of the definitive version. Everything about it just seems like how it was meant to be. Like, if you go back, look at old Ocarina of Time in-game models and compare it with the concept art, you can tell they definitely had to downgrade and take away a lot of details. But with the increased graphical power of the 3DS, the in-game models much more closely resemble the concept art. Also, I love the way Mito walks. We're gonna see that up close. But for now, just enjoy the prettiness of the 3DS.
See, that's one of the first things I noticed about this, but I mean, I guess you can't really blame the Nintendo 64 for being a little bit rough around the edges, but at the same time, this was a really revolutionary game in terms of a 3D adventure. I think it was really kind of the first one to be as grand as this was.
It definitely set a new precedent.
Okay, I'll say it. Navi doesn't annoy me. She doesn't.
No, I'm the exact same way. Every time I hear Navi's voice, I'm like, it's actually kind of cute.
I just think it's blown way out of proportion, honestly.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, maybe it's just come from the fact that we've walked through Fee and Shout and everyone else that's an annoying supporter sidekick.
We've gone through the entire circle.
It's like if you were in prison for 20 years eating prison food and then you went to McDonald's, you're like, you know what, this is pretty great.
Like, I agree, yeah, it is blown out of proportion. The problem with Navi is just she set the bedrock. She kind of kicked off the whole annoying counterpart who stops you all the time. Now, this is going to be the format for the LP, and that's how you know it's a Straw Hat No Zelda LP.
One played by Thorn.
Right. Yoshi knows what he's doing, I don't.
Well, I hit stairs.
The big screen is going to be the top screen. The bottom screen I'm going to keep down to the bottom, where you can see it, but it's kind of out of the way. It only really shows the inventory. But first, no way am I just climbing down a ladder. There we go.
Alright, now we're definitely setting the precedence.
The cool way. Finally. One specifically for you, Groose. We were all waiting for that.
So Groose is a Kokiri. The Kokiri live here in the forest by themselves. They're kind of kept out of the outside world. something has come up, and now Groose, who normally wouldn't get his own fairy, has his own. So it's time to go see the Great Deku Tree. And the Sheikah Stone is a new addition to Ocarina of Time 3D. This was around the point when Nintendo stopped trusting its audience and just decided that it needed constant hints. So if you go and climb into the Sheikah Stone, you can actually access hints in case you get stuck somewhere.
The Sheikah Stone thing is very simple, but honestly a pretty useful concept because it does help those that need their hands held. At the same time, if you don't want to click on it, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Which makes why it was in Skyward Sword as well, where they hold your hand when you don't want them to, kind of confusing. But it's better implemented here. It's there if you need it.
Skyward Sword's trying to hold your hands, and their hands are always sweaty. Now, it would have been funny, like, at this point, because this one came out after Skyward Sword, is if you happen to put the name in Groose, that he'd actually be a child Groose.
Just a giant figure among all the children.
He just has massive biceps, but just a little body.
He tried to fit into the hole and it just breaks open for him.
I like this idea. Welcome to our nice little village here. We have a giant boulder maze in the back.
You know, for the kids to have fun.
Speaking of which, where's Billy?
It doesn't crush you, it will knock you back and leave a giant welt in your face.
You probably deserve it.
So this isn't going to be an LP of the game where I act like anyone hasn't seen the game completely or even a little bit in some capacity. I will be cutting corners where I can. So obviously I've eschewed talking to Mito first. Instead, I'm just going ahead and getting the sword and then getting the shield. That's where the sword was. The shield, you need to get 40 rupees and then go to the shop and buy one.
I have a question.
Yes.
But I forgot it. Let me think about it. Oh, the shit. Oh, I know what I was gonna ask. For this particular version, I've been kind of curious about the 3DS version. How does it control? Because I know with the less buttons, especially for things like equipping stuff like in the old games, the C-Stick was pretty useful. So, how is it in this version?
Well, as far as equipping and different items, you're right, even though there are less items, if you look down in the bottom screen, there's actually Roman numeral 1 and 2. Those are also equip slots. You just have to press it on the touchpad. And I think that actually gives you 2 additional equip slots, which is nice. And accessing them isn't a problem. As far as, like, just walking around, one thing I noticed is the 3DS, it's a little smoother, but I think it's also kind of got that remnants of taint controls. If you're walking forward and you turn off to the side, it kind of seems like Link is, like, sort of trying to divert while still moving forward. It takes me a little while to get used to. And, in fact, me jumping off of that bridge was one instance of me not quite used to the control stick quite yet. It's not as direct, I think, as it was in Majora's Mask, but it is smooth. And like I said, the first-person aiming is basically perfect. It's how it should have been. Even though the first time I played the 3DS version, I turned off the gyroscope aiming controls. I kept them on for this one because I forgot to turn them off, but they actually work pretty nicely. It's just a matter of being aware where you're aiming, and that takes a little bit to get used to.
I can imagine the tank control is kind of tough when you have the camera lock like in these areas.
Uh-huh. Well, not really. The camera-locked areas are few and far between. It's mostly just indoors. Now, I almost have enough for the shield. But I can rob this place. There we go.
Attaboy, Groose.
Glad we keep our safe as just a pile of rupees in the back.
Only 5 of them.
Okay, we only have like 10 beat villagers, and we're not selling anything we want. Still in business, 70 years.
My life is horrible.
By the way, the shield goes through my body.
Here's where I first noticed the way Mito walks.
I think he's trying to keep his pants up desperately.
Mito, we're Kokiri. We're not leprechauns, you fucking idiot. Jesus. We've been over this.
We don't even have gold in this civilization.
I literally just robbed a store.
No rainbows for you.
Just storms off.
I hope you enjoy my douche walk.
That was a Vince McMahon walk.
No fairy, that's what you got.
Up against Ganondorf, too strong. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Jesus.
I'm the great Deku tree, damn it.
The wise old spirit of the forest, with a mysteriously ominous theme.
And this one is so much cooler looking than the Wind Waker one. I'm wise, duh, I'm Disney.
You like my ability to not talk? I can talk with my mouth closed.
I'm constantly depressed.
I'm actually speaking through my mustache right now.
So this tree could tell you about diabetes. Come in my mouth and we'll talk about diabetes.
I'd rather not. But okay.
I got you some sticks.
You hungry?
That was me trying desperately to equip something. Yeah, well...
I'm gonna go forward!
Close his mouth.
You're at the proper age to where I can eat you.
The true hidden horror of Ocarina of Time.
It's kind of interesting of how much the Legend of Zelda world we've played. We played every other 3D version other than this. So to kind of look back and be like, this is where everything was come up with, at least in terms of how enemies work and camera work and stuff, is kind of interesting.
Yeah. For the most part, it's the same for the 3DS version. This is why people don't like Navi. Now, looking back, a lot of her actually stopping you and telling you things is in this first dungeon. It really is, mostly just because it was the first of its kind to a good extent, and there needed to be a tutorial section. But still, stopping me to tell me how to open a door.
Now, does this version of it, because I know New Game Plus wasn't exactly a thing back when it originally came out, but in this version, is there like maybe a New Game Plus where Navi doesn't talk to you after you beat the game?
Not that I'm aware of. Her stopping and talking to you is, like, a part of the mechanics of this dungeon. So I doubt it.
I mean, I guess I mean term in like tutorial conversations necessarily, because it's like, yeah, I know how to do it, I've beaten the game 20 times.
I don't think they thought that far ahead.
Oh well.
As far as alternate versions of the game, the 3DS version does come with the Master Quest, which I think you need to beat the game once in order to unlock. But what that does is it changes up some of the dungeons, and it flips the entire game world into a mirror world, which can get incredibly disorienting. But we have our first aiming weapon.
The shield.
The shield. Just gonna throw that at the ladder.
What makes it a fairy slingshot?
Well, the ammo is fairies. That was one, it just died. We're great. And Gris.
It just cuts to that fairy's face just horrified.
Get in, Navi.
No.
Hey, I want to live.
Hey, no, how about that?
I think that voice is kind of cute. Just saying.
It's shrill, is the thing.
It's not even that shrill. I mean, again, I'm so used to hearing much worse characters.
I'm not getting that chest because it's just the map. And this place doesn't really need the map.
You really don't need the map.
Might be surprising with the tree, but you probably want to go up.
Damn it, Spider.
Keep in mind, I never said I was good at this game. I just said I played it.
Is this why we're playing this one last?
No, I'm fine enough at the game, it's just, I hadn't played this specific version in like 2 years.
I saw that fight as, I think I've made my point.
Now the other chest in this room is the compass, and I don't need that either. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go over here and grab this little enemy. If you remember Majora's Mask, there were 2 areas where you could collect gold Skulltulas. That was a carryover and kind of a condensing of the gold Skulltulas from this game. In Ocarina of Time, in the dungeons and out in the overworld, usually during the night, you can find gold Skulltulas just hanging out. When you kill them and collect the tokens, there's a town we're going to a little later on with a house with people who have been cursed by the gold Skulltulas. And as you collect more, the family will become uncursed, and they'll give you different stuff. Oh, I almost made it.
You know, for a tree, you sure have a lot of doors inside of it.
For a tree, you have an awful lot of evil creatures inside of you.
And switches.
Well, he's been cursed. I don't know what the switches have to do with that, but the monsters are cursed.
Are they gonna blame Groose for this? Because, I mean, it's like, hey, I wasn't cursed till you got a fairy. Fuck you, buddy. This is the last one we're playing, folks.
Legend of Groose.
Groose isn't very skilled with the sword.
He didn't want to hit it with his sword, he wanted to hit it with his face.
Sadly, he doesn't have a sharp thing on his head this time. That was not the slingshot.
Take that, water!
That's what we get for being refreshing and delicious.
Well, then again, it's inside of an old tree, so...
Well, that'd be pretty good.
Looks fine, I guess.
Let's just hope there's no cursing basilisks in here.
But what if this is like his saliva?
Ah, fairies. Oh. Delicious. I like when you hit those guys, you're like, dude, I'm sorry. It's a habit, come on. You think I'm a traitor runs away? That's convincing. I always like the idea of eye switches. When you smack it in the eye, it lets you through. Fine God!
I like how it's just a 1, 2, 3 puzzle, but they were like, hey, what if we put the 1 last? That'll stop them.
Kids can't count backwards.
Now, this is actually something new to 3DS version. Using the 3DS gyroscope and the L button to change the view underwater, which is unusual. I don't think it was necessary, but it is different, and there are some cases where when you're, like when you've got L targeting on, which is the replacement for Z targeting for this, you can actually move the 3DS around to alter your view. It's not really necessary, though, because you're still pointing forward.
You can tell there's a little less animation on some of the characters in this version of the game. They just kind of flopped, like those sculptures just flopped this all like, I guess. Got beat up by a kid. All the other Skulltula buddies will make fun of me.
That's all that's in your plans.
In a tree, ooh.
Are you ready for the next puzzle? Oh.
2 more plants! I feel like the Deku tree outside is just taunting you the whole time. Be ready for that, get ready for 3 plants!
It's essentially a trial he set up for you.
Fuck this.
He can't see what's going on, so he's assuming you're losing. How'd you like that one?
I hope you can get past the lake of fire. There is no lake of fire.
Oh dear.
Hey.
That was a baby Goma.
Are you ready to disarm the bomb?
I'm ready. Ribbit?
Rarebit!
No.
Aw.
So this really isn't a difficult dungeon.
No shit.
That said, even though I said this was my first Zelda, I technically, like, it was one of the first N64 games I ever had. I never got out of Kokiri Forest. I never even found the way down here when I was a kid.
This game is complicated for children. Even with a little bit of the hand-holding, it's just... Especially depending on your age, it's kind of a difficult concept of puzzles and shit.
The only way to fall.
I'm appreciating this version, because usually a lot of these Legend of Zeldas, you guys are just breezing through it. This one just is like...
That's nothing to do with the game, it's me just not being used to it.
There actually is a bit of truth to what you were saying. I actually visited a house a few months ago, family members, and the two kids, they actually did have this game. And they actually didn't know what to do at all, even with the hints. I ended up beating the temple for them, but it was still kind of fun. And their minds were blown when I told them, yeah, this is an old game. I played this when I was a kid. They're like, what?
100 years ago?
Yes.
Whoa!
Grooves, calm down.
I hope you weren't spinning in there!
One thing I like about this version, that was a bug in the original, and there were a lot of bugs in the original that they decided to keep in because they knew people liked them. Ooh, caught something.
Oh shit, I didn't think someone would see me up here, but...
This is Queen Goma.
Like Queen Goma's just like, hey, I'm here, I guess. Immediately knocked over.
Queen Goma is very easy to kill very quickly.
I guess we'll see.
It's all a matter of just stunning her when her eyes turn red. Like right now, which apparently she's blocking with her eye.
Oh, my eye shield will protect my eye.
But as a secret, the Deku stick is stronger than your sword. And she's dead.
That's embarrassing. That the Deku stick is stronger than your sword.
Yeah.
And you almost died getting the sword.
I actually broke the stick, but I still have it for some reason. Look at that.
I was kind of hoping for a victory spin.
I hope you didn't run into the T-Rex down there. Fucker.
And that's it for the first part of Ocarina of Time 3D. It's pretty straightforward.
I think this one will be fun. Again, because I'm going in completely blind.
This will be a little quick one, I guess.
Not that quick.
Well, I know, but
There's plenty of game to go through.
Yeah, I guess. I guess because I just played this one so many times, I just know everything about it.
Yeah.
It's just, like, the most famous one.
And I don't know anything, so it'll be perfect. I know what the fights look like because everyone shows videos of it going like, this is the final boss! I'm like,
Oh, okay.
Surprise, it's P-Bot. No. That should never be anywhere.
It would be a surprise.
It would. I would catch me off guard. It ended up being the Deku tree, and he finally does show that T-Rex he was talking about. Oh my god, I found it! Ah ha ha ha!
He's on the T-Rex's back.
Yep.
Just his roots hanging on him.
The T-Rex is dead because it's a tree. Get him, Rex! Rex? In 1,000 years, they'll grow back up, and oh, you'll be sorry.
And oh, you'll be dead, and as will I.
I just imagine just stoically Groose looking at him and pulling out a Deku stick on fire. It's just like, you bitch.
It's just well, take it easy, man. Just take it easy.
You know I have a family. That stick is a member. Link a psychopath. I enjoyed that.
I expected there to be more jokes about Groose, but...
Eventually. Although I had this image of when Groose was a kid that he was a really fat kid. Like just a little butterball.
What do you mean by that?
Me, 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 me.
I don't know where the hell my kazoo went.
Well, that would explain why his theme is so goofy.
It's funny how like the only version of that Groose theme you can find on YouTube is the 20-minute version. It's the first version that pops up when you look it up.